Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone in today's class, elementary grade. Our textbook is Weekend 3, and today, inshallah, we will cover Unit 11, Hanging Out in Town, Reading and Writing on page 87. This lesson will be presented by me, teacher Mazra Harbi, and the sign language by Mr. Fawaz Ragil. So let's begin. Quick revision in our last lesson. In our last lesson, we had the first thing to learn, which is the grammar toolbox. And we said that there is difference between using there is and there was. So we said that if we want to use there is, then we are using there is for something that is happening right now, or something that we have here in the present. For example, if I look at the sky and said, there is rain today, or if I said, there is a box here, or if I said, there is a pointer in my hand. So this is where we can use there is when we talk about something in the present, and we usually use there is for singular and for only to talk about one thing. But we use there was if we're talking about something in the past. For example, there was rain yesterday, or there was box here last week, or there was a book here last Monday. So when we're talking about something that happens in the past, then at this case, we use there was. And when we are talking about something that's happening right now, or we can see it right now, then at this case, we use there is. So after this, we did listen to a chant that is called there was a little greenhouse. And what we did with this chant, we said that here we need to do three things. First, we have to listen to the chant. Also, number two, we have to read the chant. And also, after listening and reading, then we'll have to chant it, or the whole chant again. So now let's try to listen one more time to this chant. We're going to listen to it, we're going to read it together, and also we are going to chant it. So the first part here of our chant is called There Was a Little Greenhouse. Let's listen. There was a little greenhouse. There was a little greenhouse. And in the little greenhouse, there was a little brown house. And in the little brown house, there was a little yellow house. And in the little yellow house, there was a little white house. And in the little white house, there was a little red heart. Now, let's listen to it, or let's read this chant again. But this time I'm going to point, and I would like you to follow with me and to say after me as well. So let's start. There was a little green house. There was a little greenhouse. And in the little greenhouse, there was a little brown house. And in the little brown house, there was a little yellow house. And in the little yellow house, there was a little white house. And in the little white house, there was a little red heart. Now, here we did, as we did last time, we did listen to this chant, we read it together. Now, let's chant it one more time. Me and you, we're going to chant this chant at the same time. So let's chant it together. There was a little greenhouse. There was a little greenhouse, and in the little greenhouse there was a little brown house. And in the little brown house there was a little yellow house. And in the little yellow house there was a little white house. And in the little white house there was a little red heart. Very good. Now, after listening, after reading, after chanting this chant, can you tell me, without looking, how many colors did we say? We actually said 5 different colors. We talk about the green color and also the brown color and the yellow color and the white color and the red color. You see how interesting this chant could be? And even to make it more interesting, we can change the word house in this whole chant and we can replace it with one of these words. Listen to this second exercise. Change house to something else and chant in pairs. So instead of saying, there was a little house, a little green house, in the little yellow house, we can say, well, there was a little green box. In the little green box, there was a little white or brown box. Or not only house or box, we can say also fish. We can talk about fish. We can say, there was a little green fish, and in the little green fish there was a little white fish. And not only house, not only box, not only fish, but also we can use doll. We can say, there was a little green doll. In the little green doll there was a little yellow doll. Also, we can use bottle. We can say there was a little green bottle. Or we can use book. There was a little green book. In the little green book, there was a little yellow book. In the little yellow book, there was a red heart. We can use this as well. Or even with the last one, which is letter. We can use letter. We can say, and instead of there was a little greenhouse, we can say there was a little green letter. This is how we can make this chant interesting. Not only by changing the word house for box or fish or doll or bottle or book or letter, but we can also even add more color. We can say, instead of using there was a green house, we can say there was a blue house, for example. And use, instead of house, we can use fish, we can use book. Or we can use also there was a purple book, or a purple bottle, or a purple letter. So there are many ways that we can chant this chant to make it more interesting. We can make a lot of changes, whether we're talking about color or whether we're talking about changing house, or even as we have learned in the grammar toolbox, we can change there was and say there is. So lots of ways we can do to change this chant, and we can write our own chant with our own ideas. And don't forget, if you want to make it more interesting, you need to make these changes in pairs, whether your classmates from your school or one of your family members or even one of your friend. Just try it, you will see how interesting it is. Now let's get to know our objectives in today's lesson. So at the end of this lesson, we hope that you'll be able to write my own version of "There was a little greenhouse" chant, add my own pictures and present it. So we're going to do the same here actually. We're going to listen to, or we're going to write our own version of "There was a little greenhouse." And after this, we can add our own pictures and also to present it to the class or to our friends and family. So in order to do this, I would like you please to open your books on page 87. Would like you please to open your books on page 87. Now on page 87, let's read the first exercise we have for today. So the first exercise we have here is we need to write, draw, and present this chant. So there are three things that we should do with this chant: to write our own version, and also to draw some pictures, and also to present it to people around us. So let's read the question. Can you write your own version of "There was a little greenhouse" chant and add some pictures? Use words for rooms and things in the rooms. So here it says that we can make our own version. We can write our own chant with this chant. So let's start with the exercise so we can know how we write our own version and what are the pictures that we can add to this chant. So here, let's read the chant first, and then we will decide what we should complete it with. So this chant is called "A Big White House." There was a big white house, and in the big white house there were two floors. And on the first floor there was a living room, and next to the living room there was, and on the second floor there were two bedrooms, and in the bedrooms. So here we have three things or three blanks that we need to fill in to complete this chant. Let's read this chant one more time and try to figure what we should write or fill in these blanks with. So, a big white house. There was a big white house, and in the big white house there were two floors. So here we're talking about a big white house, and this white house has two floors, the first floor and the second floor. So on the first floor, what do we usually see, or what are the rooms that we can see in the first floor for any house? Usually we see a living room, a kitchen, and also these are the dining room. So these are the rooms we can find in the first floor. So let's choose here, and here let's write a living room. So the chant will be, and on the first floor there was a living room. This is about the first part. Now let's listen to the second part. The second part will continue with our choice, which is the living room. And it says here, and next to the living room there was. So what do you think? What is the room that we usually can see, or we usually have next to the living room? Well, we can choose. We can say, for example, Next to the living room, there was a kitchen. Or, and next to the living room, there was a dining room. Or, next to the living room, there was a washing room. So we can choose different rooms to add it here. So don't forget, in the first part here we said on the first floor there is the living room. And here next to the living room we can choose any room we would like. Either we said the kitchen or the dining room or the washing room. So we can choose one of these. So let's try, me and you. Let's choose the kitchen, for example. And next to the living room, there was a kitchen. Now let's continue. And on the second floor, there were 2 bedrooms. And in the bedrooms, so here the last blank talk about what can we see in bedrooms. So what do you think? What are the things we can see in bedrooms? Mostly, what we can see in bedrooms are beds. We can see beds. So here we can say, and in the bedrooms there were beds. There were beds. So here you go. This is how we write this chant. And even not only this, you can choose different answers from the answers that I suggested. And also you can talk about the rooms in your house and the things in them. So when you talk about the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, you can also talk about them and also the things you have inside. So at the end, it is important that you are able to write your own version of there was a little greenhouse to add some pictures and trying to present it. So now we have reached the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.